Hello and welcome to the Digital Futures with Carol Ndosi, the podcast. This is our second episode, and if you remember, we had Dr. Funguo Mwasaga, who is the Director General from the ICT Commission in Tanzania. And we had him as the first guest because we wanted to set the pace for the rest of the conversation to first understand where are we when it comes to digital transformation in Tanzania, but the journey that we've also made, the progress, but also the vision and the mission. Where exactly do we want to go? So today I have another guest, somebody who has been in the ecosystem for years that I have known and actually worked with. I'm not going to say much, but let me introduce him. His name, and just like Mr. Mwasaga, his name is also a bit, some people get it wrong, but I have managed to get it right. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Joseph Manirakiza.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah. So Joseph, I've known you for years, but I think my first question would be, I wanted to talk about the origin story, right? So a lot of people, they happen to come into development work by accident or deliberately, like, I want to come in development work or I want to support innovators. I've known you from the Human Development Fund. Right? Mm-hmm. Innovation Fund, HDIF, and now you're with the Funguo program. So without saying anything more, how did you arrive in this space?
I don't know. It's a long story.
Okay.
Back in 2014, I was working with a development consulting firm.
Right.
Kinda. It was a program basically out of Nairobi. I started from South Africa, then Nairobi. Then I found myself, I think like I've been out for a while. My kids were growing.
In Tanzania,
right. Because the mom was working, so I was just moving around, and I was like, I think I need to go back. But why development? Why innovation?
Yeah.
Prior to that, when I finished undergrad, I was offered a job with one commercial bank. I stayed, I think, for only 3 months to work on a certain project. They offered me a permanent job. I was like, I'm not quite sure. Commercial banking wasn't for me.
Okay.
So instead, I chose to go back to university to teach. After my master's, then came an opportunity with development banking. So there's the word development.
Commercial banking, development
banking.
Okay.
So I took it. It was in Kampala. After 2.5 years, then I moved because there were changes and all that. Went into development, but more working with MSMEs, developing capacity for MSME managers in sub-Saharan Africa.
Right.
Then that's how I was like, okay, it's been a while, I need to go back. When I decided to go back, so there was, I think then there was only one recruitment firm, Radar, if you know them.
I remember, yeah.
One day I was on a project visit with my boss, and then I get a call. Because then once you graduate, everyone was submitting a CV into Radar, so go somewhere. So I get a call, like, I'm from Radar Recruitment, there's an opportunity for, like, okay. I hadn't heard from them for years.
Okay.
I was like, okay, I'm willing to listen.
right.
So, and then they started explaining, like, can you come tomorrow? Blah, blah. Like, okay, fine. Now we passed by the office. So they told me the opportunity, like, yeah, we can proceed. And then they shortlisted me, sent it was KPMG Recruiting.
Yeah.
For one reason, KPMG looked at my CV like, you get bored into the job we're giving you. So this one, no. But instead, we have another one.
Yeah.
So that HDIF had just established, so they're looking for the team. So like, we have this one, are you interested?
So KPMG was involved with HDIF?
Yes, KPMG was on an implementing partner to HDIF. So they were looking for a deputy team leader who would be in charge of the funding management. So they're like, are you interested in this? I had background in finance. I had worked in development banking. I was like, yeah, but innovation was new in Tanzania. So
right.
I was like, sure, I can look at it. So we went through the interview process. Like, okay, can you join us next week? I was like, I can't.
Wow. What about the other job that
exactly. It's like, yeah, I have to leave, positive. Like, so I just decided, okay, I'm coming back. So that's how I landed into HDIF. Wow. So it was a learning journey for me as well. Like innovation ecosystems, so those are like new words.
Right.
HDIF was, I think, the second, maybe the largest innovation program in Tanzania, but there was,
at that time.
There was one that was working on the technology, which was under COSTECH by then, which was closing down. It was funded by Finnish embassy. Yes.
Right.
So that's how I landed. So would I say I chose it? I'm not sure, but I have always been pro-development.
Maybe it chose you.
Probably, probably, but
Okay.
I haven't regretted.
Kabisa.
To be honest,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about legacy, because you mentioned HDIF, and I know for a fact that HDIF ran for about 7 years.
7.5 years to be precise.
7.5
yes.
years, yeah. So grantees were selected. I remember you know, we had pitching competitions.
Yes.
We were meeting at different spaces with different partners. But looking back across the work that you have done, what would you say is the proof that you have actually contributed to the ecosystem, that HDIF did A, B, C, and D, and if it wasn't for HDIF being one of the players in the ecosystem, maybe we wouldn't have arrived where we are today?
All right. So there are still living testimonies of what HDIF did, to be honest. Because, I mean, HDIF, we're working with the Ministry of Education and Technology through COSTECH,
Right.
Because COSTECH is the custodian of innovation when it comes to for Tanzania.
Yeah.
But we're working with a number of partners. So on the funding side, there are some that I'm still looking at, like, okay, that's really
We
great.
did that.
We did that. Recently, I met Krupa. I don't know if you know Krupa of
Krupa.
Anza. She was the founder
Yes,
of
yes,
Anza,
yes,
and then went on to create Silver Leaf Academy.
Oh, in Arusha.
In Arusha.
Yes.
Silver Leaf Academies, we funded them when it was still on paper. So they had a concept.
Okay.
But it made sense because then the funder of HDIF, that was DFID then, now FCDO, they wanted to see how we can scale like low-cost private education. It was a model that, I mean, somebody had tried it in Ghana, it kind of worked. It was
Okay.
coming up in Kenya. It's like, can we find something equivalent in Tanzania?
Yeah.
So Silver Leaf was that. So it was still a model, like, okay, let's try it.
Wow.
It kind of went, it took 10 years. Now they have a network of schools in Arusha.
Yes.
So when I was talking to Krupa recently, she says, like, if it wasn't for you guys, Silver Leaf wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
So that's one. And you look at the likes of Shure Direct. I remember doing a due diligence on Shure Direct. They had a feature phone showing us, like, this is how it works.
Right.
I was like, okay.
Oh, Farad is going to laugh at this.
Yeah. I remember I still have the picture. I sent you the picture to Iku recently in office, showing me, like, on a feature phone, like, this is how it works. Now seeing them run as, like, wow, okay.
Right.
Something. Or Ubongo Direct,
Yes,
Ubongo Kids, now
Yeah.
Ubongo Learning. So there are some of those. Now, if you go to Arusha, look at that nano filters, which we funded right from Nelson Mandela. It was still just in a lab.
Right.
Now they are distributing water all over the place. So there are some, success stories around that.
Investments.
Yeah, investment. But within the ecosystem, I mean, Innovation Week Tanzania, we started it.
Yes.
And we're just brainstorming in one of the Monday meetings in the office, like, how do we announce our first grantees?
Right.
Hannah Shine, who was our
Yeah,
comms
Hannah,
lead,
yeah.
is like, why don't we do Innovation Week? I was like, okay, come up with an idea. So he's just started it with COSTECH, at COSTECH, those rooms in
I
Buni.
remember, yeah.
Like, for the first 3 years, just happened around there.
Yes.
And then it outgrew us, so we had to go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I mean, it's going into its 12th year.
Yeah.
So,
That's amazing.
so a lot of things have actually started from there, and the innovation, I mean, HDIF actually has, like, a mark on that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, every program has its, like a point where you're like, okay, maybe things went wrong, but what's the HDIF story that you might say that maybe we hit a snag, or we came across these challenges, but this is how we actually overcame them?
Looking back, maybe what I think about is that, like, if I had the kind of money we had at HDIF now, it would be different.
So you don't have that much money now?
No, we don't. We're actually looking for funding. Just doing what we're doing. So we're looking for funding.
Okay.
But then it was different time. I mean, donors had money, and they were looking for like alternative ways of investing in development. So HDIF was one of those kind of pilots, but they put a lot of money behind it. That's why you could actually do what we did.
Right.
But always what I say is like the design could have been different.
How so?
Because the program came in, it was designed. So there are some people who were involved into the design. I wasn't. So we were hired as part of, then it was Futures Group, Palladium, to implement with KPMG. So, you know, when you are given something to implement which you didn't design, some things like, and you have to, I mean, it's a private sector company, you have to meet the milestones and everything so it can be paid. So you look at something like, I'm not quite sure. One, we had to work within 3 sectors. That was health, education, and water and sanitation.
So they were predetermined.
They were predetermined sectors already.
Okay.
And the actors in those sectors, they are mainly NGOs. So which means we funded a bunch of so many NGOs, large NGOs. Scaling an NGO, you know.
I can tell you about that.
Exactly. Exactly. So there are some of the sectors that came out of it, but I believe that it would have been different if it were designed from the beginning to be private sector oriented.
Right.
So I think that's one of the key things that are like, okay, when you are doing things which are already predetermined, it's a bit challenging. So that's what I look back like, okay, at least we corrected that in Funguo though.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I feel like we could have done a bit. But then it's what we knew. That's what was existing. So, yeah.
There's a bit of a, I wouldn't call it a grievance per se, but, you know, when you speak to, especially the youth in the startup ecosystem, they're like, all these programs are designed to invest a lot of money into capacity building. And they're like, we don't need any more capacity building. We need the funds to scale. We need the funds to start. We need the funds to do this. So, and I've actually observed that over the years as well, like even us in the NGO sector, even when we do pitch for or write proposals, most of the money does go into capacity building, the workshops, the catering at the workshops, the transport, you know, stipend that you have to give.
And all that.
So how would you say we navigate with something like that in a way that everybody feels like, okay, this was actually done for you and you have something that you've walked away with?
One, I don't agree necessarily that we do not need investment to capacity building.
Okay.
I work with startups, I can tell you. We need a lot of capacity building.
Okay.
But I think what they're talking about is from the point of how the programs are designed. And that's something that you actually even hear from the government when you work with them. Like, okay, we want funding, but we would like funding to go into tangibles.
Right.
So we kind of different to how do we define tangibles? Because to me, when I invest in startup and then after 1 year it's growing, that's tangible.
Yeah.
Right? So it's true, they are right on one end that a program which aim to support youth should just not be designed to support capacity building and achieving just easy milestones and be able to report that we have done a lot. No, you really have to look at 360.
Yeah.
What do youth-led businesses actually need? So if you don't address access to funding, then you're not doing a lot, if you ask me, in Tanzania.
But you have to have that whole holistic approach, or can you
if
say
it has to work, if it has to work, maybe one organization doesn't have to do everything,
right?
But if it has to work, at least you have to work together. Because I mean, there's access to funding that's still critical for youth-led business in Tanzania. They cannot go to banks, so they are still too small for venture capital. So they need somebody to push them to that level. But at the same time, you can throw as much money as you want to businesses, but if you're not building capacity, you're not supporting the ecosystem to be able to support them, and you are not working on the policy side, not much is going to come out of it. So I believe that you have to look at a combination of all those kind of aspects.
Right. Because case in point would be, for example, the loans that are given through the municipal councils, the 442 to youth, women, and people with disabilities. We have seen the default rates; they're not being able, to pay back the money. Because of the design that you're giving money without the capacity building to manage the money and do the deliverables. So that's interesting. But let's go back to. So somehow I would call it the how you continued, or rather the pivot moment. So HDIF, you transitioned. Is transitioning the right word? Should I say?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay,
yes.
to Funguo, but you still maintained Innovation Week. How did you manage to carry that and then still be like, you know what, this time we're going to do do this differently. And what vision are you working with now?
Okay. One, we had learned from the HDIF, like what I talked about, that if I had a chance to redesign it would have been designed differently. So we had learned from that, but we also had a number of studies that were done engaging with the grantees, engaging with the ecosystem, like what actually is needed. So when it was coming to an end, what we're actually pitching to the funders then was like, can we institutionalize it so that we can actually redesign it differently? But things were different. I mean, there was Brexit happening and all that. So like, no, let's close it. But you are free to look at other partners who can carry it over. Right? Part of Palladium, we started approaching some of the partners. So UNDP said, because they're trying now to see how they can infuse innovation into what they're doing. We can discuss on how we can design a new program which is going to take over what HDIF has been done, part of it, but also be able to look at other things. So that's how UNDP now came into play. And then we approached the other funders. Of course, DFID, FCDO then said, okay, we can give you start capital to kind of, design it. And EU came into play. So the now agreements are like, okay, we can keep some of the initiatives that were ongoing. These strategic platforms are very important because that's actually what we had learned from the previous implementation. But when it comes to funding, we have to restructure a little bit. We have to go for profit-oriented startups, businesses. Startups still, we still need to define it.
It's still some conversation.
But we have to go for profit-oriented. We still need to look at innovation, but looking at what can actually scale.
Don't you feel like that approach maybe left a lot of people behind?
No, it left space for other people. So there is still need for investment into NGOs. I totally agree with that. But there's one saying that my friend Jumane likes saying that if you want to solve a social problems, design a business around it. So I agree. So we really believe that, we can actually solve the issue of youth unemployment by allowing them or enabling them to start and scale businesses. That's why we focus on that. But at the same time, we don't have to focus only on funding. So that's why we looked at how can also support the broader support system, like working with the enterprise support organization, but at the same time keeping the government close. So working with COSTECH, working with the other ministries to see how we can support some of the initiatives which are aimed at making the business environment friendlier for youth-led businesses. So we looked at all the three components and how we can actually keep on doing that. You mentioned Brexit, and then now I am thinking about the situation that we have, geopolitics, what's going on, and how that is also redefining the funding landscape. And how Tanzania is getting affected by that. What would be your advice to the ecosystem in general? Like how do we stay above water when it's out of our control, out of our hands? Well, I was talking to somebody recently. When was it? So we're talking about everything which is happening, right? Whether it's at the country level, regional, global, whatever. And I was like, I read somewhere that you shouldn't let any crisis go to waste. I think that's the same saying we had during COVID, because there are so many businesses that came out of COVID because we had crisis. There are going to be changes, realignment, adjustment, and everything. But stakeholder, development partners are still going to continue investing. If you ask me, investing, not funding. Well. My daughter said yin yang is whatever it is. They're still going to continue investing. But there's going to be a shift. Right now, the different partners we talk to, yes, investing, youth employment is necessary, but we have to redefine on what are we doing exactly? Why are we doing what we are doing? If it's about building youth-led businesses, how do our economies benefit from that? So which means we have to reframe, because it's true that they do benefit, but probably we haven't been focusing on showing how they benefit, or intentionally creating those linkages between Tanzanian businesses and European businesses. Because for us, it's like, we have to prepare the ground. If you have to come and invest here, who are you going to invest in?
Yeah.
So there is still need to build startups from the ground,
Right.
so that we can actually get something to invest in. So there is that need. It's just a matter of reframing. Whether we're going to get as much money flowing in as it was in the past, that probably different, but probably different kind of money coming in. So we have to redefine the way we do business here as well. Yeah.
I was at the Zanzibar Digital Health Conference just 2 days ago, and one of the calls, or rather it was like a suggestion or recommendation from the implementers was, we want to work with the government. And then they were like, a large group of them were like from development partners. But then the government was also there. And they were like, listen, when you come with your funds, you need to understand that we also have priorities. Like, for example, in Tanzania right now, both mainland and Zanzibar, we have the Development Vision 2050.
Yeah.
Zanzibar has, their own development strategy. When it comes, for example, the ICT sector, they also have their priorities. How do you suggest we align? Like when the funders, or rather the development partners, come in and they're like, we want to, like you said, the predetermined sectors, right? And we're like, no, we don't need this much right now, for example, in, I don't know, geology, for example. We need this much in this much, How do you suggest we can come to terms, or rather agree on how to move forward together without having predetermined, sectors and saying, this is what we as a nation are working on, and this is where you can come in?
One, now it's changing.
Yeah.
Because if you look into the way development sector is actually, even development partners, the funders coming, they look at, okay, where do we fit in? So it's changing. There's that room for discussion. It's no longer like 10 years ago that I come with a theory of change and then you have to know. It has changed. That's number. But number two, we also have to be clear about what we want.
As a country.
As a country.
Yes.
And we look at like who are the partners who align with us. So that's also another area. Because, and you mentioned the Vision 2050.
Yeah.
That's actually a powerful kind of framing, if you ask me, and it kind of cuts across. Every partner can actually find a way. And the good thing is, I think over 70% it's going to be funded by private sector. Now we are hearing development partners looking, okay, we want to work with the private sector. So there's already the alignment based on what we already have in our plans. So I don't think it should be an issue unless somebody comes in with an agenda which is totally out of there, which I don't see coming, to be honest, because even funders know, like, okay, Tanzania needs this, so where do we align?
Then versus now. I remember when HDIF launched 2014.
Yeah, that was 2014.
2014,
yes. 12 years ago.
Tanzania ranked 123 out of 142 countries on the Global Innovation Index. Yeah. Today we have accelerator. I have an accelerator. We have the data lab. We have university. Funguo supports the research, commercialization. How much of that growth is real when it comes to, for example, structural change? Like how much of it is still like at a nascent of, our ecosystem is still nascent, or we're at a certain stage. Like how is all this contributing? Because I posed the same question to Director Nkundwe. I was like, we have a lot of, what do you call them? Accelerators, hubs. But how would you say, or how much have they contributed to where we are now?
You mentioned the Global Innovation Index. Yeah. I think there was quite a lot of excitement then when we see like it comes out like, Tanzania has actually made step, and then now we are kind of no longer looking at, many countries are no longer being excited about it. I'm not sure. Probably there's a better way of looking at the progress in terms of innovation ecosystem, but it's still relevant. But I don't think we kind of pay much attention to it anymore. Whether we are growing or not, I think, growing we are. At what pace we can do better? Because, but if you compare for the past 12 years, since 2014 to now, in 2014 we were talking about, were there 3 innovation hubs?
Something like that?
Yeah. Now we are talking almost 100, right? startups was still like, it's still an alien word.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of commonplace. We even
have an association.
Startup association. We now, even with, when you talk about innovation hubs, like, enterprise support organization, we have Tanzania Hubs Network, which has got now almost 70 members. So there is progress. And we have been seeing like funding coming in. But the issues that we talk about is that the pace could be much faster. Because comparison is normal. We have to compare ourselves, like, what others are doing that we are not doing right. Why is Kenya getting much more money into startup that we are not getting? But you cannot simply answer that question just, because there are so many structural issues we need to deal with. The policy is still an issue.
I was coming to that.
Domestic capital availability to youth labor is still an issue.
Yeah.
The way we look at innovation startups still. So I think as much as there has been progress, then you couldn't talk about regulatory sandboxes, but now we have a number of them. So there is quite progress, but I think we just need to be a little bit faster.
Right.
Yeah.
You have arrived at a question that I was really waiting for, because I also somehow challenged Dr. Nkundu on this. Policy. So right now we're working with the 2023 ICT policy when it comes to digital transformation, or ICT rather. And then you have he said it's called the Artificial Intelligence Strategic Framework. No, that was the Digital Economy Strategic Framework. And then you have the Artificial Intelligence Strategy. And then you have, of course, the Development Vision. So we have all these policies and all these documents. Wouldn't you say it's a bit confusing? Or what's your comment on that? Like, do we need these many papers? And if they're not speaking to the structural change that we're actually hoping for,
I think someone made a joke about Tanzania being very good at coming up with these frameworks and policies and all that, and the implementation that people end up copying what we have and to go and So there is that. Whether we need those frameworks and copies, yes, we do.
Okay.
Where we stall is taking the next step. Because once we have a policy, there are, of course, what needs to happen, and probably something has to happen. We don't do much into implementation. So I think we really need to go back and look at, okay, what kind of structural changes need to happen for these policies and framework to be implemented.
Right.
Because again, capacity building needs to happen for us to move to the next.
Yes.
When you talk about the artificial intelligence framework, sometimes I challenge what actually do we put in there? Because today, how many artificial AI tools do you know already? Yeah. So you have lost count.
Yes.
How many are we using? So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because
how many have we developed?
How many have we developed? Or maybe development might be an issue, but how many have we adapted and kind of customized to our needs?
Yes.
So I think that's where we need to kind of focus and basically build systems and the capacity around that. So policies, yes, but we need to go a step further. Yeah. So I think that's why we kind of need to have a better conversation. For instance, you talked about the Vision 2050.
Yeah.
$1 trillion economy by 2050, right?
2050. Very ambitious.
I like it. I like the ambition.
Okay.
But when it comes to, somebody said that actually that's even a low figure.
Really?
Yeah. If we are serious, Tanzania has a lot. Look at the resources we have. Tanzania has a lot. We can. Yeah. But if you go back and do even some modeling, like we are growing at what, 6%?
Yes, 6%.
At the moment?
Yes.
If we grow at the same rate, we might, if we are lucky, we might be probably 60% of the target by 2050.
Okay.
So apparently, we need to grow at least 12% a year for us to reach.
I would say 15, but okay.
Yeah, at least 12%.
Yeah.
For us to be able to do that, a lot of structural changes need to happen. There's a lot of conversation happening, and it's not impossible. It's just that we really have to kind of make drastic changes and structural changes in the way we work and the kind of investment we actually do. So it's possible, but a lot has to happen. That's why there is a focus on innovation technology within the Vision 2050.
Yeah.
There is no other way around it. Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned artificial intelligence. I was going to save that question, for later, but since we have arrived, because one of my, I would say, frustrations is we're adopting way more than we're developing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a fact. And with adoption comes a lot of risks, especially with the artificial intelligence. There are issues like data sovereignty, like data protection, but also the tools that we're using, are they really, like, what's in it for us? And then the other thing is we don't even have any ownership. So even when it comes to governance, it's a problem. You talk about responsible use of AI. That's also an issue. I've been reading this book. It's called If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies. And basically it speaks, it's Soros and Udoski. They speak to how it's very dangerous right now that we're very excited about AI and, building all these super intelligent machines, but who is really talking about the risk? Who is talking about the off button? There's an on button, but where's the off button and where does it sit? So how would you say as a country we also address such a risky but very much a necessity, I would say, in this day and age? Yeah.
The conversation about AI is quite fascinating. There are kind of two extreme camps. There are those who so fascinated, like hype about it, like that the savior, whatever you call it, and there are those who are doomsayers. And there are some who are in the middle, maybe don't even know where they are. So it really depends on where you look at. But the thing is, I think it goes back to, was it 1960s when you talk about internet?
1960s, yes.
Yeah. There's someone who said that internet is just a fad. It's going to die. Like, so now, I maybe if they stay alive, they go back like, okay, what was I talking about? I don't think we can escape AI, to be honest. I can't.
Agree.
Yeah. Is it risky? Yes. But the issue is like, what are we building to kind of manage this risk? So we have just to prepare to manage it. But adoption, there's no way we can escape it. So that's a thing, something that we need to kind of agree. Can we accommodate it and actually use it beneficially? Yes, because we are seeing quite a number of use cases. We have some of our startups which are like, actually they have built their whole business model around it, and it's actually working. So I think we need to be focusing on that, but at the same time now look at how, as a country, we actually are prepared to kind of manage the risks. Of course, there are quite a number of agencies being set up in terms of data protection. That's actually good development, but I think we need to go a bit further. We need to have a lot of AI engineers trained so they can actually tell us, okay, maybe this one, let's see how we can be about that. We need to find a way of collecting, managing sort of our own data so we can be able to build AI models based on our own data. So there are quite an issue that need to be dealt with. So if we really have to benefit from it, but otherwise, we are still going to depend on other people's tools. And
you, so benchmarking this on your experience with HDIF, Human Development Innovation Fund, it had a big focus on human capital development. And AI comes with the risk of replacing humans when it comes to work. So everybody's like, AI is bad, it's going to take your job, it's going to take your job. And then I'm looking at Tanzania and I'm like, we still do a lot of manufacturing, we're trying to build industries right now. They're not going to be dependent on AI. We still need the human to do a lot of things. What do you say about that? Like, are people going to lose their jobs? There's
someone who made a joke about the word intelligence in artificial intelligence. Like, artificial intelligence is going to take your job if you're not using intelligence into it. So, so to me, like, is it going to displace a lot of jobs? Definitely. But probably it's going to help us be more efficient by displacing and replacing a number of jobs that we're spending too much time on that we don't need to. Right? So to me, that's something how we need to look at it. Are some people, most people, going to be affected negatively? Yes. But again, that's why we talk about preparation. We know the kind of jobs already that AI is going to affect. Why don't we prepare our young people not to be affected in that way?
And would you say we would now end up with more plumbers and mechanics? Because those are the kind of jobs, and painters, because I don't know.
You can develop a robot, which I mean, they actually, I mean, we already have robots which can do painting.
Who can do that?
Better, not really, but even these white collar kind of jobs,
right,
we still need humans into them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we still do. Of course, if they were talking about clerical jobs which can be automated, definitely AI is going to take those, and it should, because it become much more efficient and focus and invest into those that actually need our time. Yeah, so I don't know, but also another thing. Yeah. Tanzania, for instance, we are 77% like young. If you look at our definition of youth, below 35 is over 77%. Yeah. In countries like Italy, they are now talking about negative growth, which means
they have an older population.
Exactly. Yeah. Are they all going to adopt AI? They're still going to need people. Maybe we need to start thinking about how do we start negotiating with these countries to encourage migration. They can actually take our young people there. I mean,
but you see, they don't. That like the migration really, because that's also another issue. They don't want us there.
They do. It depends on what kind of people they want. Okay. So that's maybe we can prepare the kind of people they need. Okay. Yeah. So because that's going to actually to be a reality, because I mean, even they might not want us there, but very soon
they might need us.
We might be discussing. I mean, talking about another. The issue of discussion about investment. DFI, like, okay, you know what? We can actually come and invest in your country, but we know we want 100,000 people to come and Yeah. You never know. So there are opportunities everywhere. So that probably the world is going to be now fluid, like you can move and work anywhere where you are needed. Okay. Yeah. So AI, yes, it's going to displace jobs, but I really don't think it's going to kill every job as we kind of putting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the faculty exchange program that the Funguo program, the UNDP Funguo program runs. I was particularly interested in it because the whole idea of getting research from from the shelves, to the market and commercializing it is, to me, fascinating. Yeah. How is that going? I know it's the second year, if I'm not mistaken, that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like, how did that come about? What's the approach, and how are we doing?
Yeah, so that was part of an initiative that was started by FCDO, actually the East African Research Innovation Hub in Nairobi. Okay. And they were trying to experiment how we can catalyze partnership among different countries. Like there was UK, India, and East Africa. I started with Kenya, now it kind of went to East Africa. Of course, we co-opted South Africa into it. The aim was basically to see how can we fast track research innovation commercialization by allowing faculty to learn from each other. Because within it you have India, for instance. The institution was IIT Madras, who have created over 500 startups out of research, out of labs. What I believe in, you actually learn a lot by probably looking at what others have done rather than having to repeat the same mistakes they have done. So that's what they aim, like, okay, how can we facilitate the cross-border learning? Right. And faculty exchange program is actually part of that. Like, we get university faculty in together, like look at what others are doing, and then be able to say, what can I do different? What am I doing? I can actually be able to share with others. Yeah, so that's it was a pilot. I hope we can get funding to actually scale it up.
I because so too.
Yeah. So far it was initiated by FCDO. So we still looking at how we can harvest quite a number of lessons and then see how we can push.
So nothing has been commercialized yet, in terms of maybe a research project.
No, there are quite a number of use cases. I think we were in this one that we're giving examples from Nelson Mandela.
Institute,
there are quite a number of that started from research that were commercialized. We actually funded a few. Right now, two actually from Nelson Mandela. There's one which is on biopesticides and biofertilizers, which was started by Dr. Mwambela in Moshi. Okay. That came out of PhD research. The other one, BioNutra, which is more about combating non-communicable diseases through nutrition. It all started from research. So there are quite a number. So there are not as many as we would like them to be, but there are use cases which are actually showing that, yes, if we specifically incentivize research for commercialization, it can actually work.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the gaps that remain. So Funguo's 3 strategic objectives tackle innovation financing, innovation service delivery, and the enabling environment, so the ecosystem.
Yeah.
After years of work across both programs, which of these 3 would you say that Tanzania as a country is a bit behind on?
Behind who?
No, you gave examples. Actually, you said Kenya. Like what others are doing, and when you were saying that, you said Kenya, but in my mind I was thinking Rwanda. But
Rwanda, debatable.
Okay.
Yeah, there is, in these countries, there is focus on branding, promo, and all that. So that also works. But
so maybe they're making more noise than us?
They are. I'm not saying that Rwanda is not doing well. In terms of, business environment and all that, they are doing well, relatively well. In terms of funding going to Rwanda, probably you can talk about it's a small country and not probably as many startups that can absorb that kind of funding, so that can also play a role. But of course, there are those that they call kings. Kenya, Egypt, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa. Now the others that are coming into play, they are doing much better. But I also when you look at Nigeria, that's a 200 million people, 250 now we are talking about.
Yeah. So
definitely they are meant to grow because the market is already huge. But they also have invested quite a lot into the education is a bit relatively higher and all that. And we started from it. So there are things we still need to do. If you look at the amount of capital coming to Tanzania, we could do better, I think. But again, we need to build the foundation. We need to build the pipeline that can actually absorb that kind of funding for them to be able to come. And yes, we need to make a little bit of noise because there are some of the success stories that we need to really tout out there. Right. In terms of support system, like you're talking about enterprise support organization, we are seeing movement in there. We talked about innovation hubs, which are now becoming much stronger. But what we would like to see is as many startups as possible coming out of those innovation hubs. At the moment, maybe not much. But what
would you say is the issue there? They're there, they have the structures, they have the theories of change. They might not have that much funding, but why aren't we seeing more startups coming out?
I'm not quite sure whether I can actually put a finger on one particular But what I think we need to appreciate that there is a movement. They are growing, they are learning. We are like one of the initiatives we had with the Tanzania Hubs Network was actually to connect them to other networks outside Tanzania, like AfriLabs, in order to actually see, okay, what are they doing differently? So we are going to definitely to see progress in a few years. What's encouraging is now the push for almost all universities in Tanzania to actually have innovation spaces. That's really, to me, a game changer because we need as many students as possible to be exposed to innovation entrepreneurship as well as possible. Because right now we have about 60,000 graduates every year, university graduates. How many get jobs? To me, if they can be able to graduate and be able to establish and scale businesses, that's a game changer. That's actually what motivated us to start the Youth Ignite Student Founders Fellowship.
Youth Ignite?
Student Founders Fellowship. So it's a pipeline development kind of initiative under Funguo, focusing on university students. So at the moment we're working with 10 universities. We are kind of expanding now to see. So what it did was to support university-based innovation spaces, but also run some kind of challenges for those universities who have already started business while at the university. There are quite a number of them who actually do business at university. And it was like, what kind of support they need so that when they leave university without any kind of support system, they don't drop it and then start walking around with khaki envelopes. So we are seeing some of them who graduated actually with business. There's one in Arusha that it was at Institute of Accountants of Arusha. They started it when they're at university. Now they even got the larger funding from Funguo. So from the Youth Ignite initiative to now the category funding. So there are quite good cases like we need to support these kind of initiatives so they can actually be able to scale and be household kind of initiatives. Yeah.
Okay. You said that, and it brings me to the other question that I had, the selection evolution, from HDIF to now Funguo. The second cohort alone, if I'm not mistaken, drew 356 applications?
Yes.
So from 22 regions across Tanzania. The third cohort received 400 applications countrywide as well. How has your eye for a fundable startup changed? You said you're looking for now profit making.
Yep.
But then what are the other, maybe things that you're looking at? Like, are they still going through the same pitching processes? Is there like a, like a workshop that they have to go through? Like, how does that selection process look like now?
Yeah. Okay. One, of course, we look for profit oriented because I said that, business, it's only business that can be scaled. So one, they have, in the application, they have to demonstrate that they're actually innovative because they're looking at innovation. How they define that, how they show that, it depends on the kind of business you are in. But we believe that any kind of business, you can infuse innovation into it by doing some of the things differently. Whether it's within the operations, whether it's within the business model you're actually doing, so you can actually be able to infuse innovation into it. So they have to be able to demonstrate that. Okay. Number two, they also have to demonstrate that they actually are scalable. So you have to show that like now we're at the C level, we project to be at this level in the next 2-3 years, and this is what we are doing about it.
What about cooking data?
We do quite detailed due diligence. They can now with AI. You can actually come up with a whole, flowery business model. Yeah. But when we come for due diligence, you're going to fail to kind of support it. So we actually do physical due diligence. Okay. You have to demonstrate and actually explain how it's working. Right. Yeah. So do we always get it right? Maybe not. But at least so far we have been able to we actually get it right. Okay. Yeah. So they also have to know that they actually have the team to implement that. We are not saying that you need to have a structure like, CEO and all that. Even if you have 2 people, at least one should be on full-time basis. Okay. So we don't want to fund a business which is more of a hobby. We want to see commitment. Right. Yeah. And then, of course, because development funding, it goes whether you have to look at, development sector, like what kind of impact you are making. For instance, we do not fund something within tobacco business or alcohol or whatever, course, or something which is going to deplete the environment. Yeah. So those are just simple, and then we make it easy for them. We just design it into a form of a questionnaire. Okay. Because, if we tell you just develop a proposal, you can actually ask somebody to do it and then send it. Yeah. Or maybe ask AI, develop this proposal. You have to fill a questionnaire. Okay. Like, the way it is done, it like makes you kind of do a diagnosis of your own business. It asks and then you respond. So after that, then you submit. We kind of get our own information as we need it. Okay. Yeah. And after that, we go through a screening, about 4 levels. 4 levels? Yes. There's the initial one, like looking at completeness, whether you submitted the right document, blah, blah. Then there is the advanced kind of screening, where we actually score you now on those 4 criteria. Okay. After that, there is then the due diligence, which can do desktop, like now look even calling. And then the last one, you have to come to your business. Okay. Yeah.
When it comes to the question of women and youth and, the support that we give them, but then I remember you also mentioned something about, do we have enough AI engineers? Personally, I've observed that we still have very low intake when it comes to STEM. Yeah. Women are not quite as upfront or as enticed to go into these fields. And even with innovation, like I run the She Tech Incubator and Accelerator, just to get people, the girls, the young women to apply is an issue. Yep. Now, how would you suggest we get them on board? And do we really need to force them? Because maybe it's not something that is... Because right now, for example, I'll give you an example. They're very much big on the creator economy, right? They're getting into the creator economy. And hopefully when they get, when the big platforms start paying, they will start earning. Probably. But if they can get into the creator economy, why can't we push them to innovation, science, AI? What are we not getting right? Or is this like a agenda thing?
I really do not know. But it's kind of a paradox, to be honest. In Tanzania, studies show that there are more women in MSMEs sector than men. Yes. But we don't get them in innovative or IT or tech-related businesses. Yeah. The question is why. Of course, we talked about having low intake of girls in STEM, but I think there had been quite a number of initiatives to address that. I think there were a lot of incentives to kind of push girls into engineering and I still that. I haven't looked at the numbers on what impact that has done, but I think we still need to do that. But at the same time, we have been cracking our head to say, like, how do we motivate that? We put even a quota to, like, okay, 40% of the budget needs to go to BBA, but in our recent, no, we haven't. In essence, we haven't achieved that. So it's a bit shy. We've even had, like, a number of initiatives to actually show them, like, some of them who have gotten funding from us, they're actually doing much better. We did this, what do you call it? There's even a documentary we did on women-led business, which is actually funded. Yeah, so which was actually showcasing, like, okay, this is actually what we go through. These are kind of challenges, but we still manage to run a business and grow business. Right. So probably we just need to focus more on role modeling. We have quite a number of them who are doing well. I mean, the likes of Rian Madeji Niajiri, and I don't know, maybe mentorship. Or maybe we just need to focus on businesses they are in. Why don't we put more money into MSMEs, which have got more women into that? So I don't know. STEM? No, we don't forget. We do both. Okay. Yeah, but I think we can actually do tailored kind of funding windows if we really want to push them up. Like, we go invest into business they're actually in. Okay. Yeah, that's also another probably a possibility. Okay. Yeah.
Beyond the grant. After Funguo gives, the grant, and I call it catalytic
fund,
it's a catalytic grant funding. Where do we also, like, support them? Because the issues of compliance, capital raising as well, and most of these founders, they underestimate the skin that you also have to put into it, apart from the funding that you're getting, right? Yeah. So, again, is it only the money that they think they need, or is it something else entirely?
Most of our successful startups, they know that money is just catalytic, just that. Right. There's a lot that they need to put in. Of course, what we normally do, we do surveys. We ask them, like, what tests do you need our support in? We do organize those, like, training workshops in capital raising, or when it comes to compliance with taxation. Those kind of apply to everyone. But we also do ask, like, what tests do you need? So, for instance, when it comes to linkages with potential investors, when it comes to introduction, because once some of the funders see that, okay, Funguo has invested in it, so this must be trustworthy. So that kind of gives them more traction. But so those are just kind of additional technical assistance and all that we do provide. Okay. But in most cases, it's basically their own efforts. Yeah, because you are not going to wait. I mean, if we give you funding, you're not going to wait for us to come and say, maybe you need, training in taxation. You already know, because, TRA is going to come and knock you.
Absolutely.
So if your books are not in order, so if you do not have resources to address some of the risks, so that's where you come in. If you have money, we cannot support it. If you have an expert, we can say, okay, fine, somebody's going to come working with you. Yeah, but most of them, it's really mostly their efforts, and then they come to us like, we would like to get in a connection here and there. Right. Yeah.
So right now there's a young person who has a startup at whatever stage, they're listening to you right now. What would you tell them? Like, one, maybe how can they get access to a program like Funguo, especially if they're not at a profit-making stage? Like, what do they need to do to arrive at a place where you would look at them and say, yes, I want to fund them, I want to work with them, this is where I want to be?
Number one, we do not fund you because you're already profitable. Okay. You just have to be profit-oriented. Okay. And you have to show that there is traction. Even if you have made like a couple of thousand shillings, at least you show like, okay, I can actually, this service actually has demand out there. That's the starting point. Right. But number two, not everybody gets to get funding. It's competitive. You talked about having 400 applications, but we end up funding 15, 14, because they have to go through that stage. Yeah. But what we also do offer, we share quite a lot with any funding opportunities that come with us. We actually have what we call Opportunity Wednesday, where we actually share funding opportunities. Oh, that's great. Or network opportunity, that kind of stuff. Okay. So they should just follow our social media platform. They should be coming to the event that we run, and just reach out. But again, there are so many startup founders out there. You cannot just respond to individuals. Right. But what I also have seen, some people do not really pay attention. Like you run a call, and then somebody's going to like, oh, there's a call 2 days before. What you end up doing, you just do rush things, and the application is successful.
Right.
Yeah. So I think if you really fundraising, you really need to put in efforts. But there are also startups which are not probably at the level where I need to fundraise, so they just need to focus on what they are doing until that point that they're like, yeah, now I need to raise money. And we have actually seen those. Because there are cases where they started, found their footing, had to go through an accelerator program, and then after that, like, now I'm going to apply. And most of them get successful.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's just a matter of really being intentional about what you're doing, and then knowing when you actually need funding and what you need to do to actually access that funding. Because when you launch a call, we actually do quite a number of info sessions. Today, we're actually running one. We haven't announced the calls yet.
Okay.
It's going to be coming in the next few weeks.
Right.
But it's like, okay, let's talk about what it takes for you to be fundable. It's open to everyone. It's a webinar, so it's just a matter of you joining and asking questions, and
right.
So it takes their personal efforts really.
Innovation Week 2026. What do we look forward to?
It's coming. We haven't announced the date yet, but it's definitely going to be in June. So in the next few weeks, we'll be announcing.
Okay.
It has become a bigger platform, to be honest.
So big.
So big. And
you're actually going. You're going outside Dar es Salaam.
Yeah, last year we went. We did what we call the University Roadshow. Yeah. We went to 5 universities outside Dar es Salaam: Zanzibar, Arusha, Dodoma, Mwanza. So that was just to kind of reach out to the university part. But the beautiful thing about it, Innovation Week is for the ecosystem.
Yes.
So it's a platform. Anyone can organize an event wherever they are. They don't even need to repent to us. We can support in terms of branding, give you material and all that. Maybe consult in terms of curating event, but you can actually do your own. So that makes it easier for anyone, wherever you are, you can actually do an event during that week. It gives you visibility. Okay. So that's also what we expect to this year as well. Right. But what we are looking is more strategic partners, so it can actually become more sustainable and much bigger. So we can do the curation, we can co-create and all that. But so now we are approaching partners. Okay. And what I like about it, that now government is actually very much interested, definitely. I mean,
so
beyond COSTECH, that has been there from the beginning. We are seeing quite a number of other agencies, other ministries, like, we also want to engage. We want to be part of it, which is really encouraging.
I hope so. Yeah. And of course, now that we have the Ministry of Youth as well,
yes.
They might come in even more strong.
Yeah. So we're engaging everybody. Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
My last question to you, Joseph, it's a bit of a tricky one, but hopefully you'll be able to answer it. But if Joseph wasn't at the UNDP Funguo program today, and he had access to $1 billion, what would you be doing?
$1 billion.
$1 billion. So you've seen the ecosystem. You know what works, what doesn't work in the innovation, space. You have $1 billion. What is Mr. Manirakiza doing?
I will be a dragon somewhere. Like, do you know the dragons then?
Dragons, the big.
Yeah. Open to everyone. Like, you have an idea, she's fundable, let's have it.
So
every
you will
week.
Still fund?
Yeah. Yes.
You won't do a business. You won't open like a company or something. You won't like
That's a business. Funding is a business, isn't it?
Aha.
Because if you're a fund, I have a stake in so many other businesses. Why do I have to run my business? Why actually there are people who cannot do it better? Yes. Dragons then every week pitching. Yeah, let's see what's out there. Put in money. Someone should actually do it. I should need
We should get that $1 billion.
We should. There is so much money. People have got money. We just need to convince them.
Yeah. Okay. Last comment to the people watching right now. Digital futures. What are you looking forward to when it comes to the digital transformation in Tanzania?
I think that's the only way we actually need to go. I mean, to me, we cannot do development otherwise. I think a lot is happening, strengthening the digital infrastructure and all that. We just need to kind of speed up the pace a little bit. We need to build the capacity of our own people, so we can all be digitally literate. That's what we call it. Yeah. And our systems need to adapt. Like this thing of going somewhere and then you have to fill a form. Nowadays, I no longer even know how to write with my hand. We really need to kind of change everything. Yeah. So I feel like that's where we are going, and then be able to adapt like all these AI and blockchain, like everything can really run on it. As long as we build a robust system, I think there is work already which is on digital identity in the system. So I just feel like we actually do it right so we can actually get there. Yeah. So the future is bright as I say, but it really depends on what we do right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Joseph. This has been very enlightening. I knew a lot, but I've learned a lot as well, especially around what the UNDP Funguo program is doing. So allow me to wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
And hopefully we'll continue to bump heads.
Definitely.
In the ecosystem.
And congratulations. This is actually great. I mean, seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Asante sana.
Asante sana.
Okay. Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and that is a wrap for us at the Digital Futures with Carol Ndosi, the podcast. We had Mr. Joseph Manirakiza from the UNDP Funguo program. We spoke a lot actually about the ecosystem and what they are doing, but also what we actually need to push startups, to push women, to push youth, to achieve the digital Tanzania that we're hoping for. Until next time, my name is Carol. Thank you very much.